Call of Duty Vanguard. We're doing a comparison. On the left we have Xbox Series X, on the right we have Xbox Series S. The game is optimized for both platforms and actually running pretty well. Now these videos are a ton of work to put together, so liking them is great and subscribing is great as well. So on the Series X, which again is on the left, we are getting a dynamic 4K resolution, basically native most of the time. And then on the right with the Xbox Series S, we are getting 1440p, again dynamic stuff going on there, and this is the quality mode for both versions. Now there is a performance mode, we're not kind of showing that off or comparing it because, well, we don't really have the tech to really properly show off 120 FPS action, so just keep that in mind. But if you are curious about how that is running on the Series X, it's like a dynamic mode, 1500 something p, you know, you're getting up to 120 FPS, there's still drops. When it comes to the Series S, it's 1080p and you're getting like, you know, 90 as a bit of a max. It's not really hitting close to 120, but obviously it fluctuates and whatnot, and this is based on the power of the different consoles. Again, with this being the performance mode that we were talking about. Now let's jump back to quality, which is what we're showcasing here. I tried my best to line these up. We got a little bit of some campaign sequences that are kind of really scripted in game, and then we have some multiplayer and then a little bit of zombies, just so you can see the whole experience being compared against one another, which is pretty cool. So there's HDR support for both sides, and yeah, it generally runs quite well on both of the next-gen Xbox consoles. So that is quite neat, especially since I did a comparison of the Series X versus the Xbox One not too long ago. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out. I was very surprised by what was delivered here with the Series S in particular. I didn't expect such a level of clarity where it can at times actually go quite toe-to-toe with the Series X, especially in comparison to the Xbox One, where that, you know, basically that console's just chugging along and, you know, you can't tell details as much. But here, you know, you get the full scope of like reflections in the floor when we're going to be looking at the ship sequence. You know, the detailed rain looks sharp, the character models, the guns, everything looks pretty good. I mean, it's not quite as sharp as hitting that full 4K or close to it, you know, in that regard, but it's still a pretty good, worthwhile experience that does present something that is more than playable, which is pretty cool. So yeah, if you're not familiar with Vanguard, this is an alternate history, World War II era. You get to see a lot of different fronts, a lot of different locations in combat. Yeah, it's kind of neat. So this does actually provide some really cool different visual biomes that you can check out and be like, oh, this is interesting how this kind of compares to this one across the different platforms. Because, you know, you get snow areas, you get desert areas, you got ships, you know, right here with this one on the Midway, the intense like battle into Germany. It's quite interesting. So I've also set up and sequenced some competitive, well, you know, kind of like, I guess you would say, local private match multiplayer with bots that will be shown off in a bit here, and that will allow you to get a comparison going, try to match those up too in regards to the movement and the pathing, but, you know, very much same level setup, just so you can see the detailed difference. I'd say there's actually a bit more of a gap when you're looking at the multiplayer type stuff, whereas the campaign, you know, both of them look quite sharp. You might get like a slightly softer image with what the Series S has to provide. But again, I'm quite impressed by what it has to offer. They did a very good job running this, and it should be interesting to see in the future when we get even closer tie-ins and more intense optimizations for the Xbox side of things. And yeah, that's kind of the full details here. During gameplay, so any in-engine like cinematic stuff, that'll be 60 FPS. If there's pre-rendered ones, you know, things kind of get a little bit more cinematic. They drop to like 30. There might be some specific, really cinematic focused end of chapter things that are like 24 FPS, which is more like a filmatic type of thing. So that's kind of neat. So once again, quality mode, kind of the default go-to with the 60 FPS, you know, quite comparable. If you want to go for that performance mode, you know, it is something where the Series S is lagging behind a bit more, but having that higher frame rate is actually fantastic to have. But again, I thought having that like full quality thing was the best presentation for a showcase like this one. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the gameplay. I don't have any more details to go over. Again, a little bit more campaign than multiplayer, then just a little bit of zombies kind of running around. So once again, liking the video is great, subscribing is great as well.
How many medals you think we'll win if we pull this off, Jackson? After today, they're gonna have to name one after me, Miller. Just remember we're a team up there. And stay in formation this time or the SAG will have both your stripes.
Formations just slow me down.
You see what I have to deal with? Look at that. It's a beautiful day for flying. Let's hope it stays that way. It's time. Manos a la masa. Our lady awaits.
10 bucks says I down more zeros than you, Jackson.
Come on, man. Don't encourage him.
Team deathmatch. Take out all enemies. The lead's ours. Hold on to it. New intel, ready for report. Double kill. Fly bomb, ready for target. Fury kill. Flamethrower is ready. That's a hit. Team deathmatch. Eliminate all hostiles. They're driving us back. New intel, ready for the fly bomb, ready for target. Double kill. Tossing grenade, throwing a stunner. Flamethrower, fueled and ready. Get cross. Fury kill. Team deathmatch. Eradicate all threats. Yeah, the lead. Keep it up. Double kill. New engine. Light bomb. Ready for target. Throwing grenade.
telegraphed to Special Forces. You are just in time. Clear the blockades, so we can take the fight to Von List. He wields the powers of Cortifex, ancient enemy of the demons you bonded with.
I've had many names among your kind. You can call me Syraxis.
Help Belikov send a distress.
Cortifex sees no value in allies. On the other hand, how many?
Follow that floating orb. It seeks a flaw in the barrier spell.
It carries a message to my allies in the dark ether. Make sure it gets